Jonathan Freemyer, thanks for joining us here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
On this all-time draft. You were just picked 10th overall here in our draft. That for us, that's the 4th round. We have 3 of us here. So let's open up here. What was your time in the GAC on the diamond? What was your great memories that you take from your time there in Northwestern?
Probably my senior year I hit a walk-off grand slam against East Central. Probably my greatest achievement. East Central, that was a big rivalry for us in baseball. I know everyone kind of thinks SWOSU is our big rival in all sports, but baseball we just kind of had a rivalry. It was kind of a cool to kind of walk off with them because I know every single time we played them it was kind of a grind and it was kind of things kind of sometimes got testy with them. So.
Well, that's actually, as I was announcing my picks, that's what I was going to point to, is that your last at bat at home was a walk-off grand slam. There's hardly a better way to cap a career there with your time there. But just, as you guys were part of that transition into Division II, just what was it like, bringing the Rangers into Division II with your time there?
It was honestly kind of sucked, especially from a basketball standpoint. I played with Daryl. I played with, Marshall, Easy, Woolley. We spent 4 years, and it just, the last 2 years we couldn't really play for anything. Same thing with baseball. Our last 2 years we really couldn't play anything. It's kind of hard to, motivate yourself to go out there and compete every day, knowing that, we're pretty much just playing for regular season, and especially with basketball, we end up being with the best record in the GAC and your season's done, So that kind of sucked, but I mean, it was cool, especially coming from the league that we came in the senior athletic to the GAC. It was kind of cool traveling to Arkansas, playing those teams. Obviously it was cool to play, some of our rivals in SWOSU, East Central, and all that. So.
Well, Michael, Joe, again, Joe usually saw a bunch of it in Arkansas or Oklahoma. Just what do you remember of Jonathan and from his time there, showing on the diamond?
Well, listen, I enjoyed watching your time on the diamond. I think that's a very interesting take, and I like your frankness talking about then the transition time, because it's one of those things. It all depends on where you fall, in your time. If you're a freshman or if you're a senior or whatever the case may be, and to when you get to play for those last couple of years. And I appreciate that's a very honest take on all of that. But it was fun to watch you play, no matter what sport it was. I thought you brought a lot to the table.
So thank you.
Jonathan, what other sports did you play in high school?
I just played baseball and basketball. My football program in my high school wasn't very good, so I didn't want to deal with that. And baseball and basketball. And I went to Kingwood High School in Houston. We were pretty good at basketball. We were pretty good at baseball, so I kind of stuck with those two.
The reason I was asking, you'll hear a lot of times of a football guy playing baseball. The sports don't quite overlap. You don't often see the basketball-baseball combo. So I was just kind of wondering. But those are your two interests, and you're able to stick with them into college. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I always hear that shit, especially with my size and athleticism. They always every time I see something, they're like, "Oh, you should be playing football." Even my wife, she always says, like, "Oh, we could be in the NFL right now if you just played football." And I'm like, yeah, maybe.
I said, I guess you're trying to think out loud. I can think of like Danny Ainge that probably seemingly did it close to both levels. And I know, John, you can probably relate to Danny Ainge's speed and quickness, right?
Yeah.
Well, John, I know, like I said, in your last year there at Northwestern, there was like a free nose campaign with with all the sports you tried. What was the hardest thing that you tried to master for that commercial you guys did with all the sports?
I don't know. It's just kind of easy, our SID at the time. He's just like, hey, just have fun with it. Don't worry about messing up or anything like that. But it was probably volleyball. I thought I had pretty good coordination, but he tossed the ball up, and I just kept hitting the net. I just couldn't get the concept of getting over the net and get over the side. So that was the only time I had to take a couple takes to do that one.
Well, to speak now, I know you're still involved in the game. Just what have you been up to now in your post-playing career?
Yeah, I work at Kansas Wesleyan right now. I coach baseball there. I also help in the missions department with them. So I'm living in Salina, Kansas. It's a little different than Alva, a lot bigger, a lot more things to do. But it's a nice little town.
And so, how much are you able to still follow how the Rangers are faring? I know it hasn't been the greatest run of success there in baseball, but I know you just had the Player of the Year last year in Johnny Ponce. Just how much you been able to follow how the Rangers have done since you've left?
Yeah, I mean, I follow them a little bit, you know, especially, you know, it's just kind of hard, especially with basketball, because I feel like every year they're going to do basketball coach, so it's kind of hard to stay connected with them. But, you know, I know Coach Bowen's trying to get it turned around over at Northwestern. I know our volleyball team did extremely well this past year. You know, Fred Abishon, I think he's an unbelievable coach. I think he'll definitely get things going on there. You know, that's one thing we just need one team to kind of break through, because I know, you know, Northwestern's you know, it's a little different town. 3 stoplights, not a lot going on. It's kind of hard to recruit there when you're recruiting, you know, when other teams like Southern Arc and Magnolia and Bethany over at Southern Nazarene, there's a lot better towns, a lot of better facilities, a lot better universities. And so it's hard to just kind of get the right fit over there, and hopefully they can turn around.
Well, Jonathan, we thank you for joining us here and looking back at your time at Northwestern and to look back at being picked, I said, 10th overall in the GAC all-time player draft. You're actually you're on my team. You're our first outfielder. So who else would you want me to pick to fill out an outfield for us?
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I think the best player I saw was out there was he's not an outfielder, but Castleberry from Arkansas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was the ball kind of. You talk about Davis Harris, the ball kind of sounded different off the bat. I thought Castleberry, he can really swing it. He was really fun to watch. You know, also Davis Richardson, the catcher from Harding, he was really good. I coached against him. He was hard to call pitches against. He shut down the run game. You know, he was really solid. And you know, Ponce. You know, Ponce is the real deal. You know, he obviously he had a great year. He's an unbelievable athlete. Actually, I coached him for a year. Actually, it was a part of the process of bringing him to Northwestern. He's a 5-tool player. So I wouldn't mind in a fictional world running the outfield with him.
Works for me.
Eric's muted there. There we go, Eric.
How about some of the arms you faced during your time in Alba? Who gave you hard times? I mean, I know you had a lot of success, but who were some of the guys that you didn't want to see on that Friday night?
I know 2 guys that got picked before me. I hit home runs and on both of them. Davis Ward and Enchester. Davis Ward, he was an unbelievable pitcher, but he was really, to me, I actually really enjoyed hitting off him because he threw strikes. That's one thing I really, really appreciated. But from actual standpoint, you know, honestly, I don't really feel like I had too many guys that kind of gave me struggles. Pretty much anytime a subby came, I didn't really like him. But from the top of the GAC arms, I felt like I had a lot of successes. You know, if you look at the numbers, you know, I just hit a home run off of, and so did Davis Ward.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I can tell you don't have to face Davis Ward in this fictional game because he was my first overall pick. So you'll be
that's good.
You'll be in back of him playing defense and got to give him some run support.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to play the field against him or behind him because he pounded the zone. He threw a lot of strikes, and you know, he worked fast.
Well, Jonathan, again, thank you for taking the time to look back and reminisce on your time in Northwestern. And again, congratulations on being selected to this all-time team. Again, best of luck there in Kansas, and thanks for joining us.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah.